Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here at CEDIA Expo 2013. I'm talking with Kevin Miller, a calibrator from the East Coast, who is here at the show. He helped set up Epson, I believe, right?
That's right.
And so how'd that go? How'd the setup go?
It went great. They've got several new products. The two theaters that are running there, the first one is their entry-level home theater projector. It's called a PC 4030. That's doing 3D on a 16 by 9, 120-inch diagonal screen size.
What's the screen material?
That one it's a 1.0 gain, neutral gain SI screen.
Okay.
And the one downstairs is their flagship PC 6030, brand new projector. We're doing a 235, 11-foot wide 235 on a Stewart Studio Tech 130 material with an anamorphic. We're doing anamorphic 235 with
nice.
An outboard, very inexpensive Panamorph Cinevista lens.
Now I'm curious why you used a 1.0 gain screen for 3D, because of course you know how much light you lose through those glasses. Why didn't you up the gain a bit?
I would have done it a little bit higher. There was something to do with, I'm not sure what happened there, to be honest with you, because
you didn't spec it.
No, I didn't. I advised, but I was overridden.
Hey, you're just the lowly help.
I'm just a consultant. What can I say?
Right. Well, we are going to go see that later today.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that very much, because I know when you set something up, it's set up well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So what else have you seen at the show? You've been walking around?
Yeah, I've been walking around for about a day and a half. I mean, obviously the big buzz is 4K.
Although I'm really surprised, and I've said this before, that there aren't more 4K projectors here.
You know what? You were just reading my mind, because I was going to, I went to see the JVC, the new JVC products, and I was real surprised that they're still sticking with 2K, and they're doing their eShift 4K processing.
Right.
And they even have 4K HDMI inputs, on these devices.
So they can finally accept a 4K signal.
They can accept 4K.
But they're not displaying it in native 4K.
Correct. Now, with that said, I'll tell you what, particularly their top of the line, the THX certified projector, look really good. So
that's another one we're due to see later today.
But I did ask them why, and their answer was that they are needing to build smaller LCOS chips in order to be able to put them in a smaller light engine using smaller optics in order to keep the machine at about the same size they are now, and of course the cost down. So. Right. They didn't give me any specifics, but I would expect probably next year we might find a product or two like that from them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there are a number of companies that are holding off on it. Vizio is one of my clients, and they're holding off on 4K because of a lack of 2.0. And I think that's not a bad idea.
I think you're right. And we've been talking here at this in various interviews at this table about how 4K or Ultra HD has many aspects to it that aren't settled, that aren't firmly, specified.
Written in stone,
Yeah, written in stone and ready to go. So people who are claiming to have HDMI 2.0, for example, only have a certain piece of it.
Right.
Because, we don't know whether it's going to be Rec 2020 color space, color gamut, or we hope it is.
Right.
But then content needs to be created in that color gamut.
That's correct.
And whether or not it's going to be 10-bit or 12-bit or 422 or 444, we just don't know any of these things.
Well, back to the Rec 709 versus 2020, then you're going to need displays that are capable, obviously, of doing both.
Exactly.
Because, we do this as an industry all the time. We put the horse before the cart frequently.
Right, exactly.
And
in this case, it's the display horse before the cart.
Precisely. So it's not the first time it's happened, and it won't be the last. So,
what do you think of JVC's auto iris? Dynamic iris. It's the first time they've done a dynamic iris.
Yeah, I know. I can't answer the question because that's the type of thing I have to have it in my theater, or I have to be in somebody's theater calibrating and take some time and really look at what's going on.
Yeah.
For a number of years, Epson had that feature. They still have it, and only now have I gotten to the point where I can't see it working and I see the benefits.
They are touting that they've really seriously improved it.
Yes, it's no joke. They have.
Ah, okay.
And what you'll see in there is I have it on high speed, And so maybe we chat after the show at some point. Let me know if you saw anything that you thought you shouldn't be seeing as a result of it. I didn't. And so I don't know the answer to that question on the JVC.
Yeah.
You know what? They've got a really good engineering team, so, I would expect it probably works pretty well, but I don't, I need hands-on in order to
of course. But I mean, display digital projection doesn't have 4K, but that's, I've heard, because TI doesn't want to sell 4K chipsets to the home market or the residential market, only to digital cinema.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Display development, of course, has their Christie, their rebadged Christie. I haven't seen that yet either.
It's the size of a Volkswagen. And they're doing it on an 18-foot wide screen with, it's sort of like an open, tented kind of thing with the front is open, so it's not a dedicated theater.
Right.
Definitely go check it out. It's a monster.
It's a monster.
But, that whole thing with 4K it's really almost strictly LCD based, whether you're talking, it is in fact pretty much strictly LCD, whether you're talking flat panel or projection at this point.
Home theater projection anyway.
Yeah, not digital cinema, of course, but so I'd love to see DLP get into this game in the consumer. But
I would too.
And eventually it'll happen.
Yeah.
But I guess TI's making a business decision on that, and we'll see what happens. See how long it takes to trickle down to our little world.
Exactly. So. We don't see much in the way of flat panels here at the show, generally speaking.
Not really.
Other than in booths showing stuff, not the flat panel itself, but whatever their slideshow or their content.
From the big companies like Sony. They've got a few.
Right.
But you're right. Yep, largely speaking.
Okay, now the next question for you, OLED.
OLED, well, I'll tell you what, I've seen it, I love it, it's got great potential, but boy, has it taken a long time to get here. I know Samsung and LG obviously are both behind the product. I saw an announcement from LG not less than 2 weeks ago, forget where I read this, but they're talking about bringing a 77-inch 4K OLED into the US market next year.
Next year.
So that's kind
of exciting. They showed a prototype at IFA, I think.
That's right. That's where that's exactly
right. So maybe it will come in next year. But it's also curved.
I was just going to say that,
Scott. Tell me what you think of curved screens on OLEDs particularly, like the 55-inch from Samsung and LG.
Yeah, on the flat panel, I have a problem with it.
I do too.
First of all, it makes it difficult, if not impossible, to wall mount.
Right.
And let's face it, at this point in time, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would guess 90% plus flat panels are being put on walls, not tabletops.
I had heard it. I had heard a different. I'd heard a smaller number than that.
You roughly remember what it was?
Last I heard, and it was some time ago, it was under 50%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
That most people were having it on a base, on a credenza or something like that. The problem with both the LG and the Samsung is that the base that it's attached to is all behind the screen. So the screen actually has to tilt backwards a little bit.
So it does.
Good. No, it's not good at all.
It's terrible.
So you combine that with the curve.
Back to the curve. And I was disappointed the 77-inch is going to be curved also.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got their information, but to me, I think it's a problem. I mean, first of all, geometry is not going to be perfect because of the curve.
Right. Especially if you're not dead center.
And I haven't gotten any good reason as to, from a design perspective, why they're doing it.
Samsung tells me, essentially, because we can.
Oh, all right.
And more to the point, that it's a design statement. It's a way for them to differentiate OLED being so much more expensive than the other flat panel technologies. Right. It's a way to differentiate it from LCD and plasma.
Okay.
That's not a good enough reason for me when it causes so many drawbacks.
Well, I agree with you completely. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, there's plenty more to see at the show, and so we better get to it, huh?
All right, you bet.
All right, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure.